Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Explore the Spectrum. I'm joined with Stacey Hoaglund. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm delighted for you to join us. I know that Autism Society of Florida seems very big and ominous to some of our different viewers. They say, wow, that's a big organization. What exactly could I do, or how could I contribute or benefit from it? And you guys do an assortment of things for our kids and our families. So I will let you divulge what it is that you're focused on now, because my list is long and I figure you might have different initiatives that you want to let our viewers know about.
Yeah, most definitely. And yes, you know what? Our things that we focus on do change from time to time because we change based upon the needs of our community. So we have a 16-member board, and they are representing across the state. So I have people from the Panhandle all the way down into South Florida. And we include people with autism on our board, and we really do depend upon their guidance to sort of let us know what is important to them. And then all the rest of the board members are family members. And we have what's called a working board. So that means that everybody on the board doesn't just come in and make suggestions, but they actually are boots on the ground making things happen. So the initiatives that we're working on, especially right now, is drowning prevention. As of this moment, we have lost 74 children in this year, so to 2023, to drowning. And it is a significant issue, particularly for the autism community, because children with autism drown at a rate 160 times greater than their typically developing peers. Most of the time, for all children, when we look at the data, it is what precipitated a drowning of young children is wandering. And we know that that is something very common in those with autism. So it is a really big ticket item. We work a lot on training water safety instructors about how to teach kids with autism. We provide CPR training for families so that they know, just in case they're ever faced with that, you know, tragic event, that they know what to do. We provide grants, we provide door alarms. And so we're just trying to make a difference there. The other big thing that we do is law enforcement training. Well, let me back up. It's really first responder training, because we do fire, we do emergency room, we do police, because unfortunately, a lot of times, people on the spectrum, they just have more engagement with those type of people out there in the public. And we want our community to be safe. And we also want the officers and the fire staff and the EMTs and everybody else to be safe as well. So we spend a lot of time working on that as well. And we are an advocacy organization. So we advocate legislatively. So when we know that there are big ticket items that affect everybody across our state who either has autism or has a loved one with autism, we kind of identify the things that particular year that we need to focus on. And we work with legislators, and sometimes we have to push a little in order to get the needs of our community heard. So those are like our big ticket things.
Well, and you do such good work. And I hope that folks listened just now and they heard the breakdown there. Not only are you trying to help train people for drowning preventions, because elopement is a real big deal in our world. We as parents and caregivers, we try desperately to take care of our children to our best ability. But when they break away, it's our fear that something will happen to them, whether that is something innocent that could happen to them, or something as detrimental as them finding themselves in a body of water that they can't swim in. And so to hear that you're taking the measures to help those families, not just in training folks, but in grants and door alarms, I mean, that really is being progressive and forward thinking. And I hope that folks will study that and see how that might benefit their families. One thing that, you mentioned how you're training the first responders and how you work with them, but the advocacy with the lawmakers and partners in policymaking was one thing that you didn't mention a moment ago. And I definitely want folks to understand that that is something that they should put on their radar to know about, maybe suggest somebody do, or them themselves be a part of it. But Partners in Policymaking is a wonderful organization that you put on each year. Can you tell us a little more about it as well?
Yes, so I am the statewide coordinator for that particular program. It is fully funded through the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council. and it's a huge investment for them. They bring people from across the state to Orlando. We meet in Orlando 2 days a month, so it's usually a Friday and Saturday a month for 6 months. And I have the honor to be able to bring in trainers from across the country on a variety of topics. So this is an advocacy and leadership training program for people with developmental disabilities, as well as family members. And we really strive to be able to give them the knowledge and the skill set to not only be able to communicate with their legislators so that they know how to go before a legislator and get a bill written and how to advocate for that bill, but also more on the ground kind of stuff. So looking at housing and transportation and education and inclusion. Inclusion is huge because the program is part and parcel, everything in it has to do with inclusion. So whether it's inclusive education, inclusion in the workforce, or housing, or just like in your community, to help everyone, because this is just something that every human wants, is a sense of belonging. And there's a huge difference between fitting in and belonging. And we want our people not to think that they have to change who they are, which is kind of like the definition of fitting in, right? If we're going to fit into something, we know, oh, we're going to have to, change who we are a little bit in order to fit in. We don't want people to have to do that. So we want to do whatever we can do to help people be able to gain that sense of belonging, because it's from there that we get our quality of life.
I love that. That's beautifully stated. And so there is a distinction to be made, right? There is Autism Society of Florida, and then there's these other chapters of what's called Autism Society, and all of y'all are not related. So Autism Society of Florida is where someone should go if they want to learn more about your programs, correct?
Yeah. So, well, I know it can be very confusing to the outside onlooker. There is the Autism Society of America, and then there are affiliates that we're all part of the Autism Society of America. And so we all each have autonomy, though. So we're able to develop programs based around, the needs of the Florida community. And then, there are some areas that also have even smaller, where they only cover a certain area. For instance, years ago, I was the president of the Autism Society of Broward. And so we covered Broward County. And so there are a few of those out there, but in the state of Florida, we are the affiliate that is directly related to the national organization. And what that does, it gives us sort of a little bit more, a bigger sphere of influence, because we do Day on the Hill in Washington, for example, where we go and we meet with members of Congress from Florida on bigger items that, yes, certainly affect Florida, but they also affect our nation. So that is one of the benefits that we have of being part of that national organization.
I love that. So how would anyone find more information about the programs you've spoken about today?
Well, that and a whole lot more. I mean, we have art classes, we have music keyboarding classes, and adult social classes. I mean, I could go on and on. So they can go to Autism FL, like Florida, autismfl.org. And of course, we're on all of the social media, except for TikTok. And I got to get my brain wrapped around that one. As soon as I do, I think we'll kind of show up in that one too. But for right now, it's, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and those kind of things, you name it. So we're pretty easy to find. And we always have, we post about upcoming things and opportunities that we have for families and people with autism. So I encourage everybody to check it out. We are, all a bunch of volunteers. And we really depend upon our community to let us know what they need. So if anybody listening, watching is thinking, oh, wow, I wish they did something in this particular area, we'd love to hear that, because chances are good what one person needs, somebody else is thinking the same thing.
Agreed. Well, it's really been a pleasure having you on today. So thank you for being here. And I encourage our listeners, our viewers, our professionals, our parents to all take root and to check out some of the different programs you have going, because it's quite the catalog. And to our viewers, on that note, thank you for joining us as we continue to explore the possibilities.